Okay, folks, thanks for hanging in. We're going to hear next from Aboud and Hamza, maybe, from Spot Angels. And if you've ever had an issue with parking tickets, these guys are going to rock your world.
Thank you.
Who here's gotten a parking ticket? Who here checked the database from San Francisco to see if your name was on it for when they're messing with people and taking their money? Did you catch that last week? No? Do you know what I'm talking about? No? Google it. San Francisco is refunding like tens of thousands of people for overcharging them for parking tickets from like year 2000, 2008 or something like that. And your name is on some PDF if you're on it, right? Exactly. I checked. And my name is not on the
claim.
PDF. Right. All right. Spot Angels. Aboud.
Thanks. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Excited to be here. So we're Spot Angels. We save drivers from parking tickets. Raise your hand if you ever got a parking ticket or even recently. Okay. That's a fair amount. My personal story, I paid $569 for my car getting towed because I didn't move it on time, basically. That was before Spot Angels. People get parking tickets for two reasons. Either because they don't understand the overcomplicated signs, or they forget to move their car, basically. So I'm not going to say more. We have a short video to tell you how we do it and how we avoid parking tickets with Spot Angels. Yeah. Am I good? Okay. Okay. Awesome. Go back. So basically, Spot Angels uses the sensors of your smartphone to detect that you parked. And as soon as you park, you receive a notification asking you if you just parked. You answer yes. And then you get another notification telling you need to leave by Tuesday 8 a.m. to avoid street cleaning. And that's it. Then a couple of days later, you get the reminder push notification with some sound there, if you can hear it. Yeah, you need to move the beast by 8 a.m. to avoid a ticket. That's as hard as it gets with Spot Angels. You don't do anything. You don't pull out your phone. It watches out for you to avoid tickets. So now, if you open the app, there are a lot of other cool things you can do. Right on it. Okay. So if you open the app, you'll be able to see, so right now we're on Utah Street, right next door. You're going to be able to see that over here, it's free right now. You need to leave by Monday, 12 a.m. On the other side of the street, it's free. You need to leave by Thursday, 9 a.m. If you actually park manually on the app, it tells you what happens at Thursday, 9 a.m. There's a meter that starts there. You can also search for an address. For example, you're going somewhere, you want to check a regulation at your friend's place. Choosing an address I know. So for example, here it's a metered spot right now, and you need to leave by Thursday, 12 a.m. Same thing probably for street cleaning. A couple of cool features. So again, you don't need to use the app. It watches out for you all the time. But you can set up those notifications that you just saw according to your preferences. So either 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours the night before. For example, if it's an early street cleaning, you don't want to wake up half an hour before, you move it the night before. You can sync up your calendar. And another cool thing is that a lot of our users have asked us to mute the notifications in some locations. For example, you're parking in a garage at your office. So you can enter the address of your office here, and the notifications will be muted. Last but not least, so you guys might be wondering where our data comes from. So our data comes from cities. That data is not very reliable, not very complete. So basically what we're doing is that we're relying on our community to keep the regulations updated. So when you park, if the regulation is not correct or if we don't have it, we prompt you to snap a picture of the sign. So you can do it directly from the notification. I'm going to do it from the app right now. So basically, I'm snapping a picture. Thanks for the help.
I'm playing the parking side.
There you go. Then you just use the photo, and it gets sent to us. And basically what we'll do is that we'll update the regulation, and you'll be safe to park near your place. People actually do this. Drivers do this. They want to protect themselves and the community. So that's it. We're Spot Angels. We're live in San Francisco and New York, and we save drivers from parking tickets.
All right. Cool. Trevor, let me just ask you a quick question. Or I've got two quick ones.
Yeah.
I got a ticket not too long ago because I parked. I thought I did it. I parked in a spot and I paid the meter and all that, but I didn't park with my nose in to the curb.
Oh.
And the sign was all the way the fuck down the block to say you have to park like back in.
Okay.
Can you help with that? And second question is, I rely on Siri to tell me when I need to feed the meter or to move my spot. So how are you defensible against something like that?
Okay, so there are two questions there. For the first one, we have a very high level of granularity in the app. So like nearly space by space, literally. So you wouldn't need to go check the sign. You'd see right over here, you can see like, for example, in a given area, there are several segments, and each segment can be different. So that's answering your question in terms of if you can park in that specific spot. For feeding the meter, right now it's not something that, that you can do in the app, but you get the reminder telling you that time's going to be up. So you won't need to rely on any other source, but you cannot feed the meter from our app. If that answers your question. Yeah.
So awesome. I really like it. But I'm wondering what the business model is. How are you going to make any money?
Okay. Fair enough.
Maybe you don't want to. I don't know.
The app is free, if that's your question. We want it to be free. We want people to see the value. We want people also to keep regulations updated. Now, on our side, how do we make it work for us? Is that this data is very valuable to a lot of players, especially right now with connected car becoming mainstream. That data is needed by connected cars to make the complete navigation parking experience better, I would say. Today, nobody knows what those regulations are there. People are getting tickets. And so we sell data to automakers, basically.
I thought you got the data for free from cities.
So again, some cities don't have data at all. Others do. That data is not structured. You can't do anything out of it. You can go ahead and ask them for it. It won't be very useful. So what we're doing is that we have the best data out there, better than cities, and that has value. Other questions?
I have like two questions.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one was like, so I'm from out of town. I live in Iowa. So my first question would be like, how do you scale efficiently? And then to kind of piggyback on your answer to Trevor's question would just be like, so the connected cars, like why wouldn't they just add this as a feature to their app?
Okay. First question, how do we scale this? So you just saw something that I did on stage. I snapped a picture. That's part of the scaling. So what we're doing is that we're adding regulations, literally street by street, neighborhood by neighborhood in some areas. If you snap a picture in the middle of the country, we can add it just for your street so that you see the value. Then how do we scale? As I said, we gather data from cities, we clean that data, and then we launch cities one by one. We're expected to be in the 20 largest cities in the US by the end of the year. That's for the first question. For the other question, yeah, everybody can do anything, right? You just need to focus on it. We're focused on doing this. We're focused on bringing the best data possible, and we're building a community, and that's not anyone who can do it. You need to focus on that. So,
over here, so there's some interesting use cases for this. One service that I use locally here is like a service called Scoot, which is like electric, like mopeds and scooters.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they do is you can park in certain areas, but you have to like write down the sign, right? The actual sign that you were showing, right? Like, so like street cleaning, you have to manually put it in. So, I mean, I definitely see a lot of opportunities to find service providers like that and try to work with them. That seems like an obvious, opportunity that in terms of what you're doing here for people with existing customers and that are using these things. But one problem that I'm seeing also in this connected car thing that's happening around here, think of like Uber and ride sharing and so forth, is a lot of cars idling. So there's a lot of cars on the streets that are taking up spaces and things like that. I'm wondering if there's any opportunity there as well in terms of just finding more ways to free up spaces and things like that. I don't know, in terms of what you're doing here with city data, because you're doing a better job than some of these companies, right? If you've ever looked at the Uber app for drivers or the Lyft app for drivers, there's a lot of things here that I think that you might be able to show them an opportunity with.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get the question straight. So you're saying, is there an opportunity to analyze where streets can be freed up, like from cars parked around, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think in terms of like a business model, because I didn't see a really clear business model. Like in terms of the data that you're collecting, it's more of just a statement for you in terms of like what opportunities are you looking at with existing auto providers in the city or in other cities, yeah.
Okay. So auto providers with a connected car want to provide the best navigation experience, and that includes parking. And they're looking for data to tell you where to park. There are different angles that they're taking to solve that problem, and they need reliable data, which is the street data that we're talking about. So we have an API, we make that accessible, and that's as simple as it is in terms of business model. And right now we're focusing on that, focusing on building our community and data, and as I said, our business model is selling to automakers. Yeah.
I'm going to steal the next question. So someone asked about scale already, but I'm curious, when do you plan on moving to your third city after San Francisco and New York City? And then my second question would be, do you have an insurance policy? I imagine that sometimes your app fails. It's definitely the best of the market. But when your app does fail and I say, hey, I'm supposed to move at Thursday by 12 a.m. and I get a ticket at 8 a.m., do you reimburse that ticket?
Okay, so first question. We're live in 2 cities, San Francisco and the 5 boroughs of New York. We're opening up Seattle very, very soon. And we're scaling, as I told you, to the 20 largest cities we've identified. So that they're going to be rolled out progressively. Every month, they're going to be 1 or 2 cities. Insurance policy, we don't have that. We encourage people to always double check. As I said, like there's no reliable source of data out there. If you look for it, you won't find it. So what Spot Angels is, it watches out for you. It also even reminds you sometimes to actually have a look at the sign. You sometimes walk out of the car and completely forget to check. It's a super cool reminder for that. It's pretty much how I can answer your question.
Okay, thanks a lot.
How are you currently bringing people into your app?
Again, how or?
Just, yeah, how are you bringing people into your app, and what are maybe some challenges you have with user growth?
Okay, so first of all, we have a lot of word of mouth, which is super cool because we're targeting a problem that's in every single neighborhood of this city and in New York. That's one way we're doing it. We also have partnerships with other companies who connect the car, like not connected cars, but any cars with devices, and we're featured on their app stores, and that's how we get users. So we have a couple of partnerships all over the country, and so we have users in basically many cities where we haven't launched yet.
Thank you.
Sorry, can I ask one more? So you mentioned when the woman asked about like having a street in Iowa marked, and then you mentioned that you're rolling out Seattle.
Yeah.
Are you actually marking streets before you roll out a full city? At what point are you rolling out that city?
That's a good question. There are 2 ways we do that. When I say we roll out a city, is that we're going to dump all the data of the city until we make it better with all the other pictures we get. But sporadically, we have a lot of people sending us pictures and wanting to use that very locally. So we try and do that as much as possible. When we know that information is correct, we just put it in so that people can see value at very small scale before rolling out a whole city.
Okay, so
That's how we
rolling
do
out
it.
is just like a marketing push, that we're up in Seattle.
Exactly.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
thank you. Anybody, anyone else?
That's a good question. So there's clearly access to data, which makes it easier. And there's also basically cities where we know we have people just waiting for it. So we know that if we roll it out there, we're going to get the best data, we're going to get a lot of usage. So it's a mixture of both. Maybe my co-founders have other answers.
Yeah, and it's also like dictated by the automakers that we're working with. So they have a list of cities where they want us like to roll out the service. So we try to focus also on that. And just to jump on your question, on your statement, it's definitely something we do. Like we talk with Get Around. So we're about to roll out the service with them, and so we, as Aboud said, we just have an API. So we can work with anyone, and it's not about just data. It's also like this API service and the reminders. So we do it as a service to provide more value than just like giving data. But with car manufacturers, it's hard to sell like the Spot Angels branding or service inside of the car. They're more like eager to get the data, and these are like the big contracts that we can have. That's a good idea. So, do you want the true story or the bullshit story? No, the true story is just like the domain name. We didn't have the Parking Angels domain name. We had the Spot Angels domain name, so we chose this. Yeah.
All right, I think that does it, unless there's a final hand up.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.